Thank you, everyone. Glad to be here. Good afternoon. My name is Matt Roman from Celestica. Thank you to the Sortis team for setting this up and inviting me. So this will be by far the least technical presentation you've seen today. So really wanted to spend a little bit of time to talk about what we're seeing and what we're seeing in the ecosystem as it relates to SONiC in the enterprise, and maybe more broadly, open networking in the enterprise, and even more specifically, when I say enterprise, really campus networking applications. So that's what we'll focus on here today. So certainly enterprise customers want to take advantage of the benefits of open networking, and specifically around SONiC, much like hyperscalers did many years ago, started many years ago, and more recently tier 2, tier 3 data center operators are doing now. It's becoming mainstream. Those same benefits, the freedom, innovation, control, avoiding vendor lock-in, all of those types of things are front and center, and customers want to take advantage of that. In some cases, these are customers that have already had experience in their data center doing that, and they want to take those learnings, that know-how, and the benefits, and then leverage that in campus-type networks. So we definitely see that in a lot of different markets. We'll talk some about vertical adoptions as well here in a second. So that's kind of the setup, people wanting to take advantage of that. Okay, enterprise edge becoming more complicated. There are certainly more devices, particularly with IoT type devices, sensors, cameras, more traditional devices like VoIP phones, et cetera, but certainly require a lot of security, requiring a lot of high power infrastructure, power over Ethernet, devices requiring larger power budgets to be able to operate. So there's not only the SONiC piece we'll talk about here, but there's also hardware requirements in order to support that, with things like power over Ethernet as an example there. So that's changing. The other trend that we're seeing at Celestica is customers wanting more than just basic connectivity, more than just 24 port or 48 port switches. They want to be able to take advantage of other services in the box. So platforms that have integrated wireless capabilities, either Wi-Fi or LTE, or have infrastructure that allows it to support other specialized functions in addition to basic switching. So to be able to provide gateway, embedded gateway, or security type functions, firewall, load balancing, those types of things, which is pretty new in this class of product. That also requires different types of configurations and flexibility. So if it's somebody who just needs basic connectivity, that's one type of device. If it's somebody that's requiring those value-added features that require a larger CPU, more memory, as an example, that's a different configuration. So it's sort of changing the hardware configuration in addition to the software capabilities that are required. Okay, so I've hit on a few of these already. Again, people want to take advantage of the benefits that are proven with SONiC in enterprises within campus. There certainly needs to be an operational advantage. We need to avoid the lock-in that I mentioned before, and clearly it needs to have a lower cost. So if it's going to cost more than a traditional OEM solution, then a lot of customers will not go down that path. Again, other than if it's specific features that are required for a use case, or to completely prevent that vendor lock-in. So those are some of the drivers. But actually, before I get to that, so what are the impediments to doing this? So there's really a couple. So certainly SONiC, as most people in the room probably know, is really a data center focused NOS that's expanding. There are some telecom use cases. There are enterprise features getting added. But up until recently, there were a lot of basic table stakes type functions that were not available in SONiC. So things like power over Ethernet, the ability to manage power over Ethernet, device authentication, so 802.1x, radius authentication, edge security features, IGMP snooping, just a lot of traditional things that have been in the market and been in use by enterprises for a long time that were not present. And there are still gaps there. So that's one piece of it on the feature side. The other thing that has been a challenge is SONiC, particularly in data center form, is not the lightest weight distribution piece of software. So to take advantage of the cost needs at the edge of the network, a lot of these types of campus access edge devices leverage embedded ARM processors that are right in the switching CPUs. SONiC up until recently really wasn't able to run in a two-core CPU as an example. So there's a lot of work going on with some of the software partners here, a lot of work going on with Celestica to have a light, low footprint SONiC that can run in that type of environment in an embedded ARM processor. So that's going on as well. And then the other thing, which leads me to the next slide, is the community piece. And Larry Ho touched on this earlier. For this all to work, there needs to be a community. There is a new work group that's been formed called PENS, SONiC PENS. There are a number of vendors, a number of our partners that are here in the room, as well as Celestica and other hardware vendors that are part of that. So again, this will help drive that. So it's a community trying to solve this enterprise use case example. So that's part of that. And then again, there's the individual vendors that will try to solve this as well. So this is just getting started, but it's going to focus on PoE type use cases for this edge access campus connectivity. So we're expecting that will also bring it forward and make it more widespread in the community and provide end users and operators with more options. Okay. All right. So just a little about use cases. So one, just general purpose connectivity. That kind of goes without saying. I would say that the two other areas that we've seen the strongest interest or even initial deployments are retail, specifically large distributed retailers. Some of them have been public in terms of what they're doing. So in North America, Target stores is a great example of that. AWS with their retail operation have been very vocal in terms of what they're doing. So we see that as one large, very positive use case. The other one is around managed service providers. So companies or customers that are providing services to an end user, both the company providing that service and the end user don't necessarily care that it's an OEM, traditional Cisco HPE type solution. They just need functionality and capabilities that address a specific use case. So those are two very strong early verticals. We're confident at Celestica that as this matures, it will be a viable alternative for traditional wiring closet connectivity in a carpeted enterprise. So that's our end goal, is to be able to provide that full solution for just general purpose wiring closet campus networking. I didn't mention it so far, but certainly the other parts of the enterprise network, so the aggregation and distribution layer, certainly the hardware is available today from vendors like Celestica and our competitors. It's very similar to what you would see in a data center fabric, but there is also protocol work that needs to go on to be able to support those use cases. And certainly the conversations that I've had with customers, there are many that have been with OEMs for a long time. They've got proprietary protocols in place, not that they necessarily want them, but it's just what they have deployed. That's what they're used to. Certainly the challenge will be for the community to provide alternatives to that, or to have discussions with customers and say, do you really need this proprietary lock-in type feature, or can you use something that's open, or do you even need that function at all? So anyway, so that's a little bit about use cases. The gateway piece also falls into retail. So some of the drive and push there has been able to have devices that sit in a branch out at the edge of the network. They want embedded low-density wireless connectivity, either for an emergency backhaul type connection for LTE cellular, or for very low-density wireless. So having platforms that have Wi-Fi cards, M.2 Wi-Fi cards built right into the hardware platforms. So that's another prevalent use case that we're seeing. Shameless product pitch here, I won't go into details. So we've got a full line of products. I did want to call out, since we're at OCP, our EG1050. So that is a contributed and accepted OCP-inspired design. We presented this in Prague last year. This is available on the marketplace. So not only is it running open source SONiC, it is an open source hardware platform that's fully contributed to OCP. Okay, and just some more details here on what that switch is and the platform. And that's it. I'll skip the last slide. So that is my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions?
I have a question. So I'm just trying to understand the switch that you presented. Is that similar to what they offer in the market, like a UCPE, a universal CPE?
No, well, I guess it depends on your definition of a UCPE, but I would say it's not a compute platform first with networking. So the devices that I've shown here are based on either Broadcom Trident silicon or Marvell silicon. So they're basically switch systems, switch ASICs with either external x86 CPUs or leveraging embedded ARM CPUs that are built in. So they're really, I think of them as switching devices, and there are several SKUs or several models that have the ability where you could leverage either an LTE connection or a Wi-Fi connection. Basically, a little M.2 plug-in type device.
But all the devices has to be running physically on at the edge, connect directly to the switch to provide the connectivity back to either your data center or cloud, I'm assuming, or whatever.
Yeah, so the devices I was just showing here, they're all edge connectivity. So 1 gig, 2.5 gig, or 5 gig devices with
Okay.
optional PV.
No, clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Matt.